What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Extra Innings Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah Rodriguez, and we're back today with another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about the game last night between the Mets and the Dodgers, and obviously Game 1, the game I've been waiting for since, I guess, Friday or Saturday, the Guardians and the Yankees. Now, starting off, we'll talk first. Obviously, I got a new mic if you're watching. Hopefully, it sounds better. The last episode I put out was... it's the same mic that I had, but for some reason, it just I bought it off of a website. I think I got ripped. I think it was a fake or something because it sounds like shit. So if you heard the last episode I did, it's because it sounded horrible. It was bad. So I knew I had this one. Like I said, I had a mic set. If you watched the episode before the last one I put out, I was holding the mic. That's this one. We just got a crown and a little bit of a pop filter. So we're looking pretty nice right now. But I digress. So Game 1 between the Mets and the Dodgers happened last night. It started off bad. It started off not good. It was pretty bad. Let me see if I can pull up the box actually real quick. I really do want to pull up the box because that was just it was not good. It was not good. And the thing was, it wasn't even good from the get go. Senga just did not pitch well at all. At all. It was like, I don't know if he was nervous. I don't know what the deal was because he's been pretty solid. He's been pretty good. Let me see his ERA for the year before we get into it. Let's see his ERA for 2024. Wait, what? Hold on. Shit, he hasn't pitched it for oh wow. Has he been hurt most of the year? Holy shit. Yeah, he's got 5 innings on the year. Yeah, so that might have been the issue right then and there was the fact that, and you know what, now that I think about it, I think they did talk about how he hasn't pitched in quite some time. What? Okay, question. Okay. Now we got more to discuss here. Why would they start him in Game 1 of the championship series if he has 5 innings on the fucking year? Obviously threw 166 last year. Decent. Where's his ERA? 2.98. That's pretty damn good. So I can see where maybe they were hoping he'd come into the same form. But good God, it was bad. So let's look at the line from yesterday. I want to see his line. Okay, here we go. Postseason. He has a God. So he pitched in the divisional and then obviously here in the championship series. He's thrown a total of 3 innings with 3 strikeouts. That's it. That is good God. I need to see the breakdown here. I need to see this breakdown from the game. Give me the box. All right. And this is just going to show you how the game went yesterday. Like I stopped watching. I had it on. I stopped watching in about the 6th or 7th. It wasn't good. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So Senga 1 1/3, 2 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned runs, 4 walks. Yeah, that kind of shit. And obviously the issue that I had, and this is where because I'm, again, either way this goes, I'm pumped for the World Series. I think the Yankees make it past the Guardians, God willing. And whether they play the Dodgers or the Mets, either way it goes, it's going to be a hell of a World Series to watch. Big for the game of baseball as a whole. But for those people who are hoping for a Subway Series, World Series, excuse me, I was worried because they pulled Senga out in the 2nd inning. And they went through 1, 2, 3, 4 bullpen pitchers. Now, if you're not versed in the postseason, you only get a certain amount of guys within the roster for that series. Now, they used a good chunk of guys, so they're going to need, and we'll go through probables here in a little bit, but I was pretty worried about the amount of bullpen they used yesterday. I think after it got to 5, I think they should have just threw in the towel and just had someone kind of clean it up a little bit and just kind of make it through, honestly, at that point. Going through all this. And obviously it's a postseason, so I get you don't want to just write off any game because anything can happen, and every game is important, though we have been going best of 7 this series. So you've got a little bit of wiggle room. And I do know that this is the first time that so in the first inning, the Mets scored 2 runs, and then it kind of snowballed after that. I think the Mets are, excuse me, are undefeated when the opposing team scores in the first inning or scores first. That was broken. They did not come back in this game at all. The final was 9-0. Obviously, they got 2 in the first, 1 in the second. then another 3 in the fourth, and I think that's when I stopped watching. I think when it got to 6, I was like, yeah, I ain't watching anymore. And then another 3 in the eighth. So not a great showing for New York. They looked flat. They didn't look with the same excitement they had in the series before playing the Phillies. Obviously, when you play the Phillies, that's kind of a juggernaut. They needed to take that same energy into this one, if not even more, because it's the fucking Dodgers. So they needed more energy. Didn't have it at all. No, let's look at the batting. Lindor, 0 for, Vientos, 0 for, Nimmo, 0 for, Alonso, 0 for, Marte, 0 for, Winker got a hit and then had a brutal, well, I'm not going to say it was that bad. It was from the outside looking in, it looked horrible, but I think he got deked by Kike Hernandez and if you know I'm talking about, there was a play running to third. Didn't look good. It didn't look. Me watching it, I didn't see the outfield thing happen where he was going to act like he was going to throw it to second, then ended up, he was acting like he was going to throw it third, then ended up throwing it second. It was just kind of weird. But yeah, he got a hit at least. Iglesias got a hit. Taylor, Ofer, McNeil, who hasn't played in a while, got a pinch hit, obviously. Ofer, Bader, I think Bader Bader got pinch hit for. Weird. And then Alvarez again, he got a hit, so 1 for 3. So not good. Total of 3 hits for the Mets yesterday. Far cry from where they've been this last couple series. And then the Dodgers, obviously, they're the Dodgers. I have to say, I don't know if it's, Freddie Freeman is playing like he is in some serious fucking pain, which I commend him for that. It looks like he's like really pushing to the limit to make it through this last series. And then this series, like he is hobbling around, but still, making plays and doing what he can. He got 2 hits last night. Betts got a hit. Ohtani with 2 hits. Chris Taylor pinch hit for Freeman, I guess, later in the game to give him some rest. Pages ended up going in for Teoscar Hernandez, who also went 0 for. Will Smith, 0 for. Muncy got 1 for 4. Kike Hernandez, 2 for 4. Kike Hernandez has been playing phenomenal. Not a huge fan of his post game. It was kind of cheesy, but it is what it is. 0 for 1 Lux, and Kevin Kiermaier came in 0 for 1. 0 for. He didn't get a hit. And then Edman at shortstop, 1 for 3. So the Dodgers do what the Dodgers do, man. They hit the ball. Put runs in play, put the ball in play, and they're going to score runs. I mean, it's not anything that we haven't seen all year long, right? Pitching-wise, Flaherty did good. But the other thing, there was never a really... there was no real challenge for him the whole game. I mean, he was 2 hits in 7 innings with 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. I mean, Flaherty's good, but he's not that good. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He has had a great year. Struggled the last couple years, but really fell into his own with Detroit, and he was a big piece of the trading block at the deadline. I think the Yankees wanted him, and then that fell off because of a physical issue, but it seems just fine. I think Cashman just didn't want to pay and didn't want to admit that he didn't want to pay because he's in great form, great shape. Obviously, tore up the fucking Mets yesterday. Then you got Dan Hudson came in for an inning, and then Casperis came in for an inning. So they're fresh on their bullpen. Their bullpen threw 2 fucking innings yesterday. They didn't use Trainin. They didn't use Vesia. They didn't use a lot of their key guys. Hudson is more of a late innings kind of guy, so they did use him but 1 inning. I mean, shit, he didn't do really anything. And he gave up 1 hit, so he wasn't even extended in that inning. So lots of life left in this bullpen here, which is, if you're a Met, concerning. But let's kind of look at the preview we've got for today. They play here in just a little bit. I'm going to try to get this out before 3 o'clock my time. They play at 4 o'clock Eastern time, which is actually 2 o'clock in California, which is crazy. Let's see. So they're going to give the ball. The Dodgers are going to give the ball to Brazier, who is 1-0, 4.91 ERA. Not bad. But obviously, Senga, who shit the bed yesterday, you're getting a true juggernaut coming in here. You got Manaea, who's had a fucking hell of a year. Tore it up in the wild card, tore up the Phillies in the divisional. So, going to be a pretty good game here. I'm excited. Obviously, I want to get this done, wrapped up, so I can sit my ass on the couch and watch this game because I'm pumped for this one. Same lineups for the most part. Obviously, these are subject to change. Obviously, we got on the I think it is the same. Got Alvarez for the Mets. Alvarez behind the plate. Taylor in center. Iglesias at second. Winker at the DH. Marte's in right. Alonso at first. Demo and left. Vientos at third. And then obviously Lindor at short. Dodgers got the same lineup. Ohtani, Betts, Teoscar, Freddie, Will Smith, Edman, Muncy, Kike, and then Pages. So Pages getting the start tomorrow. Interesting to see that. I don't know why they don't play Pages more, man. Pages is he's impressed me since he got his debut this year. I mean, obviously, no, he's not a rookie of the year by any means, anything like that, but he's been solid for them. he made some good plays. He's been good. So I don't know why. I mean, he's obviously doing a platoon with people in the outfield, which is fine. He's a young kid, a young player. But I think he deserves a little bit more, man. He hits the ball well. He plays the field well. He's got a lot of baseball IQ. He's pretty solid. Now, I'm hoping that, as we wrap up this, I'm hoping that the Mets don't carry last night into today. Let's wipe it. Let's wash it. We got our guy, one of our guys. Obviously, Manea's going to throw today. I'm sure either Quintana or, I'm sorry, my hair looks like garbage. Either Quintana or Severino get the ball tomorrow, and then the next game, obviously, there'll be a travel day in between. Or actually, I think there's a travel day after this one for them. Yeah, because it's 2-2, or is it 3-2? I don't know. I have to check that. But regardless, you're going to get, obviously, they got Senga, you're going to get Manaea, then you're going to get Severino and Quintana, or Quintana and Severino. I think if the Mets win this game, they got to go Severino tomorrow, the next game. They need to win 2 back-to-back. They can't let the Dodgers hang around. The 2 best guys they got are Manaea and Severino, and Quintana's a close second. Senga, I thought I held him a little bit higher. I guess he just didn't have it in the playoffs. I don't know. But then again, the Dodgers are still holding. I got Yamamoto in their back pocket, who clinched kind of the divisional series for them through a hell of a game. But they got him in their back pocket. So, they got Bryce here going this game. They got Buehler. I'm sure they're holding off on pitching Walker Buehler because he had a terrible outing in San Diego. Just didn't do good, but he's another guy they got in their back pocket. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm excited to see this game. I'm just praying God that they do better than they did last night. Because last night, honestly, I watched it from the start. I mean, from the first inning, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It wasn't a good showing for the Mets at all. And I knew the way that it started, they had dug themselves into a hole. Not even like obviously physically it was 2-0 in the end of the first, and then went to 3, and then kind of built on itself. But if we're being 100% honest, you could feel their momentum it was gone in the first. I mean, the pass balls, the pitch clock violations, and it was the walks. It was like, dude, and you could see Senga was trying to just hone it in, and he just did not have it. So Manaea's going to go out there. I have all the faith in him. I'm hoping for a great game. I think the Mets take this one. Honestly, I think the Mets are going to take this one, and then game 3 will be a whole different world because you'll have probably Yamamoto going, and then you're going to have Severino. So that's this series is another one that's can't miss. So interesting to see this game again. If you don't know, it is today. I'm going to put this episode out, but it comes out. This game is being played today, 3:00 Central Time, 4:08 Eastern Time, and I guess 2:00 California time, Pacific time. So crazy. But let's talk about the one that I am excited for. I've been waiting. Here we go. The Yankees and the Guardians. Obviously, this is a rematch from a couple of years ago with the whole thing with the baby thing that Naylor was doing, and then Gleyber Torres did the thing with the baby thing. So this is not a rivalry by any means, but these teams do have a little bit of history. Obviously, the Yankees aren't, guys that are really going to go out and want to fight or cause problems, although we saw a little bit of that in the series prior with the whole thing with Kansas City with the Volpe tag, where it looked like he kind of punched him in the neck almost. It looked weird. The whole thing looked weird. It looked forced. So, Volpe, if you're throwing hands, I don't quite know what that was. And then the slap on the back was kind of like a sarcastic, get the fuck out of here kind of deal. So that was one of the more egregious things I've seen this club do, and I've been watching them all fucking year. I'm a Yankee fan. But anyway, I don't think we'll see anything like that. We got Cobb on the mound tonight for Cleveland, Rodon on the mound for the Yankees. So I got a buddy of mine who texted me today and asked me, he's an avid baseball watcher too as well, and he asked me, hey, because Stroman was left off of the divisional series roster. He didn't pitch at all, though the last starts going into the postseason, Stroman didn't look very good. So I can't really argue with the decision to leave him off, because it's like, well, you haven't done anything for us now. These games matter. So it's not like we're going to throw you out there and say, oh, let's hope what happens, Marcus. Let's see. So I get it. And I've been a Stroman fan for a long time. I've been a Stroman fan since he was with the Blue Jays. Then he kind of did his thing with the Mets and the Cubs last year. And then obviously coming to the Yankees. Everybody wants to play for the Yankees, so I can see his excitement there. But at the same time, it's like he didn't really do a whole lot. He's not the 94, 95 guy he was back in Toronto. He's very much an 88, 89, 90, 91-ish kind of guy. But I can see he's on the championship roster. He's listed as a starting pitcher. I do know that the Yankees did release their starters. Give me a second, I can look that up for you. Of course, the first thing I see is Trevor Bauer. No shock there. All right, there we go. The starters for the ALCS are going to be Game 1, Carlos Rodon. Game 2, Garrett Cole. 3, Schmidt. 4, Luis Gil. Luis Gil hasn't thrown in, at least over 2. It's been probably about a week, 2 weeks since he's thrown. He didn't throw at all in the divisional. They didn't have a wild card, so he missed that time. I think his last start was probably at the second to last week of April. Of September. So he hasn't pitched in a bit. So giving him the ball after not giving it to him in the divisional, it's going to be a toss-up. Is he rusty? Is he okay? Has he been pinning? I'm sure he's been throwing pins. I don't even know why I said that. Of course he's been throwing them. It'd be ridiculous. But obviously, and I know the Yankees have had quite a bit of time. They've had probably about 4 days of practice. So I'm sure he was throwing maybe live to a couple guys. But not having that game feel might bite him in the ass. I would like to think that wouldn't. But we're going to see. We're gonna see. Now, talking about the 2 starters, obviously Cobb pitched okay in his postseason. He's done all right. He's 0-1, 6.0 ERA. He's only 2 strikeouts. And then there's Rodon. I've talked about, if you follow me on Twitter, I talk about when it happened with Rodon, the whole let's go, and the first strikeout, and I was like, just anyone that, and I'm trying to find his stat line. Oh, give me a second. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can. I had a tweet that I saw. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. Hold on, because his stat line was just egregious, and he started let me backtrack. He started that game great. It was electric. He was on point. He was sharp. Everything was biting. He had zip, and I think that may have overhyped him. But even like me, I know guys, like, compose yourself. What are you doing? It's the first inning. Relax. And then proceeded to just fucking crumble. Crumble to pieces. And that's like, brother. And, Rodon has pitched well this year. Like, let's look at his stats this year. Like, he's done, last year, fucking brutal. Last year was awful for Carlos Rodon. And then he did okay this past year. Where are we at here? So 16-9 on the season, 3.96 ERA. Still not the Carlos Rodon that we saw in Chicago, the little bits we saw of him in San Francisco, but better. Better because in 2022, in 2023, he had a 6.85 ERA. So absolutely fucking brutal. But if we look in 2021 with Chicago, 2.37, 2022 with the San Francisco Giants, 2.88. We're trying to get back there. Because that was elite. Even though, from 15, he's been in the league he was with the White Sox for a good chunk of time. He did okay, but he figured it out, right? And he earned that cash, he earned that paycheck. But goddamn, last year was a farce. And then we've cut it down from 6.85 to a 3.96. And then it felt like we kind of like reversed. We went the other way with him in that postseason game in the divisional, and he just shit all over himself with a 9.82 ERA. He only went 3 2/3. Not good. So I'm hoping that he's just better. He's just better, because I probably can't get worse. You can have a Senga start, I guess, but it can't really get worse than what happened to him before. So hoping that he shakes it. And I think he came up with that whole thing and said, I need to be better at poker. Like, no, brother, you just need to play baseball and just play the game and leave the antics, leave everything else to the side. Just play the fucking game, man. Yeah, so let's look at the lineups. Obviously, we'll go through postseason, especially for the Yankees, the postseason lineup. But so far right now, I think as I've got it, they're going to have Birdie looked really good at first, so I'm assuming they're going to put Birdie at first, and over Oswaldo is going to be a toss-up. They haven't released the lineup yet, obviously. Who is blowing me up? Okay. So we got Birdie. It'll be Birdie or Oswaldo at first. Chisholm will play third. Volpe at second. Volpe at short. What's his name? Fucking Torres at second. You'll have Judge in center, Verdugo in left, and then Soto in right, with Wells behind the plate. Although Wells struggled, he did not play well, or he played well behind the plate, but didn't catch well. He played well behind the plate, but didn't hit well. What am I talking about? Didn't hit well. For a guy who hit well all season, took the starting lineup, took the starting rotation spot from Jose Trevino. Jose is a great defensive catcher, but Wells hits the ball better. So obviously, if you hit the ball, it's the same term we've heard millions of times if you played baseball. If you can hit the ball, they'll find a spot for you. And it's not like Wells took the position from Trevino strictly off of overall play. It's no, Trevino just wasn't hitting the ball as well. That's just how it goes, right? But strictly, Jose Trevino is a great defensive catcher. Wells is a good defensive catcher, but not as good, but he hits the ball. So that's why, we've seen a lot of Wells these past, 3-4 months. And the other thing, what is he batting? 229, which isn't horrible. It's okay. But in the postseason, he's batting $125. So he's struggling at the plate in the postseason. He's only got 2 hits and 16 at-bats, although he's got 2 RBIs, so he came in clutch at one point. But it's still a little worrisome. It's a little worrisome for a guy who's been on top. And the thing with the Yankees is that I've said this the last couple episodes. If Judge and Soto aren't hitting, the lineup kind of follows suit. I know Judge was kind of getting into something towards the end of this past series with Kansas City. Soto was doing okay. Chisholm does Chisholm things. Torres doing okay. Volpe actually coming out of a little bit of his slump. So you see some other pieces that are arising, but again, they need Soto to hit. They desperately need Judge to get out of this postseason, whatever you want to call that he's got going on. Just something needs to happen with Judge. He needs to show up. He wants to be the captain. He wants to be the $600 million guy. He needs to play like it, in my opinion. Can't be the captain and not show up. So that'll be interesting to see there. But yeah, I'm for the strong lineup here. Obviously, strongest lineup I think that's left in the entire postseason, up next to the Dodgers, right? And I think the Dodgers and the Yankees lineups are neck and neck. But let's look at the Cleveland lineup here. We've got Brennan, Fry, Jimenez. Kwan is stupid right now. Kwan is just a fucking monster. Let's look. I kind of want to look at his stats right now, obviously in the postseason. So in the regular season, batted 292 with a 7.93. His postseason stats, this dude is obviously he's been a great player for a while, but just has absolutely tore it up these past 6 to 8 weeks into the postseason. Look at his postseason stats: 21 at bats, 11 hits, 6 runs. He's got a stolen bag. In the postseason, that means in the wild card and into this past divisional series, he's batting .524 with an OPS of 1. He's got a 1. OPS, but 1.136. Don't fuck with Steven Kwan, dude. Good God. Good fucking God, man. So that's something you got to worry about with the Yankees need to worry about Steven Kwan. Don't pitch to him, but be goddamn careful. You got the Naylor brothers, Bo, who's been the younger guy, catcher. In the postseason, he's batting 0 with 11 at bats, so he's not really a threat. Naylor, I think Josh Naylor as well has not really done much either. First baseman, 20 at bats, he's got 4 hits, so he's batting about 200. So another guy that's kind of been a little bit off. Let's see what else we got here. That's kind of I think, in all honesty, Josh Naylor and obviously, Jose Ramirez. Another piece, he was back when that whole thing happened prior. He was one of the few pieces that was there, him and Josh Naylor, who Josh Naylor was the guy with the baby shit. So obviously Jose's not doing awful, but still not great. He's got a 788 OPS, not bad. 16 at bats and only 3 hits. He's got a bomb, 3 RBIs. So it looks like both sides are a little bit on the lower end, who are just kind of waiting to explode. Cleveland's got a great ball club, but the thing that we're not talking about with Cleveland is not even starting pitching. Sure, they've got Carrasco, they've got Cobb, they've got Bibby, they got Boyd, so they got guys. They got decent starting pitching. Obviously, the Yankees also have decent starting pitching, but the stories of both of these teams are going to be the bullpens. The bullpens are 100% the talking points that need to be talked about. The Yankees bullpen has been stellar, though it hasn't been like that all year. The playoffs in this last latter half, probably all of September, the bullpen for the Yankees, handing the ball to Clay, and now the 7th, Clay Holmes in the 7th, 8th, maybe, Conley's doing well, Hill's doing well. And then the one that's, like I said before, the one that's the shining light right now for the Yankees is the closing spot that was given to Luke Weaver, who has ran with it literally out of nowhere, just absolutely tearing it up, stoic, just handles everything with absolute ease for the most part. But with that, the Guardians have the best bullpen in baseball with the best closer in baseball, Class A. So, whether the starters get it done or not in this whole series, whether they can get it done doesn't matter, because the bullpens are going to come in, and that's when shit's going to get fucking nasty, and it's going to get tough, and it's going to be gritty. So I have faith right now that I think Rodon comes out of whatever funk he had, and I think they come out on top. But again, whatever the Yankees are going to have to do, it's going to be well fought before that bullpen comes in, because once that bullpen shows up, all bets are off, man. I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens, because it does get tough there. And then once Clase comes in, he'll come in for the 8th and 9th. So you got to face him 2 times. So it's like, hey, but obviously they got Weaver. So like Weaver will do the same. Weaver will go in the 8th, maybe for 2 outs, or maybe 1 to 2 outs, and then close it in the 9th. So these teams are even matched on both sides. I think this is going to be the better matchup. I still have a sort of feeling after watching last night that the Dodgers are going to roll over the Mets. I'm hoping that's not the case. Again, we got game time in about an hour 20 maybe. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see. But once again, guys, thank you so much for listening. There's a lot of postseason baseball. If you're excited, let me know in the comments. Comment on YouTube, socials. I'll have some videos on socials coming out here in a little bit again. But again, so if you don't know, Yankees are tonight on TBS. I'm so happy they got rid of Costas, because I love Bob Costas. He's got a lot of history, but my God, the TBS broadcast needs work all the way around. But you got the Dodgers and the Mets are at 4:08 Eastern time, 3:08 Central time. And then we've got New York and Cleveland, the game I'm just like dying to see. Like 7 o'clock cannot come fast enough. I remember 6 o'clock cannot come fast enough. It's 6 o'clock 6 o'clock Central time, 6:30 Central time, 7:30 Eastern time. Some great matchups today. Game 1 for the Yankees, game 2 between the Dodgers and Mets. So we're going to see what happens. But again, guys, thank you so much for listening. And we're going to have another wrap up of these 2 games tomorrow. So be sure to tune back in on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to tune in. And then again, follow us on socials. We'll have little videos here and there talking about random stuff that I find. I'm going to try to get some shorts out here in a little bit. I'm not quite sure I can. I'm going to try. I'm going to give it a shot. But the game starts in an hour. I got some stuff to take care of, and my ass will be seated watching baseball for the rest of the day. So I'm sure you guys will too. It's Columbus Day. Some guys are off. But again, catch us tomorrow. We're going to have a recap of both these games. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.